FPUC heats up, but when could it come? Hey, good afternoon. This is LALATE with Afternoons LALATE every day at 3:30. Starts with a check at 3:30, then goes to hazard pay at 4 o'clock. FPUC is now, and coming up after this is rent assistance. Big developments on FPUC overnight. And this massive news today as well. I have it in front of me. Boy, FPUC has been literally, that tug of war, that last chicken wing that you just sort of pull on the wing and you say, hey, is there any meat left? And this is where it went. Last night, the president gave a press conference talking about potential executive orders. And that press conference was covered by broadcast news. But what happened was a lot of broadcast news cut away from the remaining remarks in which questions and answers continued. I have those details. What's happening with FPUC? Is it coming back? When will it come back? Will it come back by executive order? Will be retroactive benefits? All that and more. Let me get right to it. First, FPUC expired. FPUC expired several weeks ago. It was $600 a week that goes on top of hazard pay, on top of FPUC, on top of PUA and UI. The amount of hazard pay has been floated by both sides to come back. And those amounts have sort of gone left and right consistently over the last 2 weeks of negotiations. Initially, before anything erupted, the Democrats proposed $600 a week to January 2021 in the HEROES Act. Then, in the weeks leading up to the introduction of the Republican bill, Mitch McConnell said there would be no FPUC, zero. He said that you're all staying home, getting rich on the American public, getting rich on the federal government, and that unemployment numbers were great, none of which was true. When he floated and introduced his HEALS Act, he introduced a bill that was really ineffective because it proposed $200 a week for the month of August for 4 weeks. It was non-retroactive, and then it asked for a drop of a calculation starting on September 1st of 75% of your 2019 earnings. It's the second part of the bill, ironically, that really caused the implosion of the idea. The reason why it was technically unable to be done, the problem was that states told Steve Mnuchin, head of the Treasury in the president's cabinet, don't do a second stimulus package with FPUC that's based upon calculations. Just have a number like 200, 300, 400, 600. Don't do a calculation because our computer systems can't do it. The problem with FPUC is very, very simple, and I've been critical about this for a long time, is that FPUC is funded by the federal government but sent out by the states, and the states' computer systems are so antiquated that they almost sometimes can't even put FPUC in the line item. Early on, when FPUC was approved, a lot of people asked me in the videos, hey, LALATE, it doesn't show in my portal a line item for $600. Am I getting it? I'm like, yes, because your state is one of those states that doesn't even have the ability to put a line item in a computer, a website that says $600. It comes separately. Ultimately, Steve Mnuchin was warned by the states, don't do the 75% calculation or 70% calculation because 1, our computers can't handle it. 2, we have no way to do it. 3, we would take us months to ramp up our computers and they may still not be able to do it. And 4, we don't know what their 2019 earnings are. We're employment offices. So Steve Mnuchin, shortly after that bill was introduced last Monday or the Monday before, said, okay, we're going to go to numbers then. It was like a scarf, flying in the wind at SBA's offices. It was just like, oh boy, it was just like a bad wig came off of Nene during the testimonial taping. So Steve said, okay, we're going to do numbers. And so the initial number was $200 a week for the month of August. No one liked that. All the swing states said, we're not going to support $200 a week. Swing states, the president must win, they did not support. Republican states, the president won last election cycle, were not supporting $200 a week. The reason why I'm saying this is that the president issued a statement last night that he's going to, by executive order, introduce FPUC by executive order. That was his statement to press. But then in the questions and answers, the president was asked, Okay, what dollar number, sir? It's nice you're talking about FPUC. I mean, everyone has agreed we're going to have FPUC. What amount of money? Show me. I'm like, Lord. Are we talking about $200 a week again? Are we talking about, nice $800 a week? $900? That would be really nice. $900 a week. So, I think you know where this is going because, yeah, it did not go very well. Mr. President, if this is the question to him, Mr. President, if you go ahead on your own employment insurance, I'm going to wondering about what you're going to get the money to pay without Congress, and will the people still get $600 a week? That's the question. Yeah, we have the money. We have the money. Yeah, that's the answer. Question: they'll still get $600 a week in addition? Answer: I won't say that yet. We'll see when that happens, but we have the money. Will you say the number they would? That's a third time the question's asked. We have it, Justin, says the president. We have plenty of money. Yeah, please go ahead. So 3 times the president was asked, is it $600 a week? And 3 times he refused to answer the question. He wouldn't answer, what number is it? If this sounds familiar, and this is not a dig at the president, it is a consistent statement that's coming out of this White House. 2 weeks ago, before the Republican plan was introduced, Steve Mnuchin was asked on Sunday morning in Face the Nation, what number are you going to do for FPUC? He says, I will get to it. You'll see it. What number is it? Well, you'll see it. You'll get to it. I'm not going to tell you. It will be a number of a week. Oh, well, you'll see it. We'll get to it. It has been that situation that's really sort of confusing. So here's the really good news. The good news, as we're 5 minutes into this video, is that FPUC is going nowhere with this president. The reason why is the executive order is not lawful, and the executive order is going to be shut down and struck down in court within 24 hours at the moment it's issued, which is likely around next coming Thursday. And what's really great news about it is it's going to get people back to the negotiation table and get it done. Ultimately, this defaulting to doing executive orders by Mark Meadows, we're going to do everything by executive order so I don't have to negotiate and see Nancy. I can stay at home and, eat my Cobb salad. That is showing an inability to get negotiations done for you, the viewer, for you, the American public. And when the president understands that FPUC cannot be issued by executive order, because it can't, then the parties are going to get back to the table and get it done. Where were the parties before this happened? Well, the problem was the numbers were close. It's just the duration was not particularly clear. The president had offered $600 for 1 week. The Republicans said, no, 1 week's not going to cut it. The Democrats went $600 a week with retroactive benefits. So you're asking about retroactive benefits. The Democrats had proposed retroactive benefits back to the date at which you lapsed on benefits because it expired. The Republicans were generally in favor of that as well. Then after this really sort of fell apart or starting to erode, the Republicans came back with a really good offer, $400 a week. Now, I don't know as I sit here right now how many weeks they were going to pay you $400 a week. The president in his press conference yesterday said he was going to do FPUC to the end of this year, but on what number? The other side of the coin that's also really good was Nancy Pelosi pulled back on her $600 a week. She said around Wednesday that she would do $600 a week, but would stop paying it if the employment numbers improve or unemployment numbers improve. So they weren't that far apart. And here's this. The issue that we have is that FPUC has become sort of like the Scarlett O'Hara of the second stimulus package. The most dramatic part of the second stimulus package, when ironically, everyone agrees that you're going to get it. Everyone agrees you should have it. And that when we're talking about $400 to $600 a week, it's really not that much money difference. It's really not that much difference. The reason why the second stimulus package is not getting approved is not because of FPUC, if you watch my video at 3:30 today. It's because of that nearly $1 trillion bailout of states in the second stimulus package. The vast majority of the money in the second stimulus package that's being held up that's holding up your stimulus check, that's holding up your hazard pay, that's holding up your FPUC, that's holding up your rent assistance, is a big-ass bailout of states who the Republicans say were in financial disarray before the pandemic, and that the Democrats say, hey, we want to bolster them up for many years to come. Whether or not you default on the side of the Republicans or the Democrats, my position is very clear. My position is this is a time for relief of you, citizens, before we start bailing out states. We need to bail out the citizens right now. The citizens need unemployment. The citizens need rent evictions, moratoriums. The citizens need rent assistance. They need stimulus checks. They need all these things right now, and food stamps. So giving a few extra $100 a week for FPUC was not really what was killing the deal. But when it came to broadcast news reporters, boy, they're so bad. I mean, they have been so bad during this entire pandemic. They've been as bad as Kim Zolciak's singing. I mean, it's just, oh my God. I mean, it's just, I just want to put some color contacts in and put a weave on and see if I can sneak into the, negotiations to say, hey, get it together. Other than that, I'm going to and go Gone with the Wind fabulous. I just get this stuff together. What is your problem? Because FPUC was never a problem. It wasn't a problem. And as the president says, we'll see what happens right now. We're not ready. They're not ready. Democrat cities are bleeding money so badly run. So look at Baltimore. You have to take a look at them differently. These are the ones I mentioned. Look at what's going on. They won a lot of money for many years. And that's really where the problem erupted. So as Nancy Pelosi had a press conference late yesterday, that was not broadcast, but I have the transcript. She said that the problem was the amount and the differences between the parties. There was a video that was published earlier today that used this quote. Let me read you the quote. We remain committed to continuing negotiation and reaching a fair agreement with the administration, but we will not go along the meager legislation proposals that fail to address the gravity and health of the economic situation our country faces. The video said the comment was made after yesterday's negotiations ended, and it was positive news for the viewers to listen to because it showed that the parties want to get back to negotiation. The problem is the comment was not made after the negotiations yesterday. It was made before negotiations even started yesterday. It was made in the morning of Friday, as you can see from Nancy Pelosi's press page or from the actual news sites that cite it. Nancy Pelosi did issue a statement late yesterday after the negotiations went on, and her statement was not inherently negative, but it was much more comprehensive. So are we far apart? Yes. Can we find some common ground? Yes. Can we cut back our number? Not cut back our number on number of children who are fed, but for the length of how long the legislation lasts, I'll just say, to give you an example of how far apart we can make it children. Our children and their education is more sacred than sending our children, in case of grandchildren, kids a safe way away. Now, I can continue to read her statement, and but it is 2 pages long, and the word children is mentioned about 30 to 40 times. The problem with that is that I understand that's her position, but that's not why the negotiations fell apart. The negotiations fell apart because the Democrats proposed an enormous amount of money for states, and that money for states is not for children. The money for states has nothing to do with children. The only children that are in the room are the 4 negotiators who can't seem to get it done. As Nancy said yesterday, she accused Mark Meadows of kicking the furniture, which I guess he thinks he's Teresa Green Eyes. I mean, he's flipping tables and kicking furniture and just he's like Faye Resnick at Camille Grammer's dinner date from hell on a Thursday night. It's just, come on. So I understand Nancy wants to talk about children, but that's not why you didn't get your FPUC. Children is not the reason why she didn't get your FPUC, and it just goes on pages after pages after pages about how she wants to pay for money for children and pay for money for hungry people and pay for money for people in need. Well, then kick out of your bill all this bailout for states and their cushy state coffers who can go out and get loans from the federal government, from the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell's waiting for you. He has the Main Street Lending Program. I've done videos on it. I may not have had a purple shirt on. I may have, had spiky hair and may have, may have had less bleached teeth, but I was there. I've done those videos. Those states can get the money. That's their money. It's not your money. You can't get $500,000 loans. States can. They have collateral and assets to get those loans. And so why is Nancy holding up your FPUC for that? Bottom line is, the great news is that when the president issues executive order next coming week for FPUC, the Democrats are going to go to court. They've already indicated that they had two big victories in court just yesterday, Friday. The governors of those states may go to court as well. You can't order states to issue money. A federal government can't order states to do anything, and the federal government and the president can't order money to be sent out. That requires an act of Congress. So the bill will the executive order getting validated for FPUC. That will get Mark Meadows back at the table, and hopefully by then, if I make enough videos, Nancy will realize to take that state bailout money out and give everyone their darn FPUC. As I sit here on a Saturday afternoon, it has been a tough, 24 hours. As one person said, boy, LALATE, you look tired. No, I was just frustrated. And the spirit of this channel is to help one another and get everyone through it. And when we talk about FPUC, that's one group of people's issues. I have Amy who can't survive on $167 a week. She's a consultant, and that's just not enough money. I have other viewers who are desperately waiting for their stimulus check, and they're on SSDI or SSI. They can't survive without that stimulus check. I have other viewers who need rent eviction moratoriums right now because they're facing evictions. And so when you watch a video and I say one thing is good because it helped one of those three people, please don't say it's bad because it didn't help you. Because ultimately, a lot of people have a lot of different problems, and a lot of things are proposed in the stimulus package. And when it gets passed, because it will get passed, all the problems will generally be solved. But for now, it's not productive to say, oh, he's going to get an eviction moratorium, that's not good because I'm not getting my stimulus check. Or I'm getting my stimulus check, that's not good because he's not getting his FPUC. That's really, and I know it's hard not to do it, because a lot of people are in big financial despair. But as a community and as a group that we look out and help one another and we support one another through this really difficult times, it's the positive message that we send to one another to say, hey, we're going to get through this together than to start to become divisive. Because we already have 4 people in that darn room being divisive. We don't need people here being divisive as well. Hope your Saturday is going well. It's beautiful here in Los Angeles today. Coming up next is rent assistance. I thank you for your time and I thank you for your patience. Coming up this evening is Evenings LALATE, and boy, I'm going to try to be a little bit more giddy and a little bit more fun. So don't tell me I'm drunk or I'm high, because I won't be unless you want me to. Well, at least drunk. As always, stay motivated, stay inspired, stay positive, and stay of LA for more.